Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Part 2 of the Hot Take Bowl Prediction Big Roundtable. We talk about a ton. We break it all down with Skylar, Peters, Dallon, Wilton, myself, and of course Carter first. We didn't quite get into the Alejandro Kirk stuff, the new contract, the Allen Roden stuff, the David Schneider, all that. That will be on Tuesday. Make sure you guys tune in for updates on those specifically. Have that podcast downloaded. A lot to get into on this one. You guys will love it.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We will send you guys right off to that big roundtable episode. All right, everybody, welcome back. Monday episode. We got the boys back. We did the hot takes. We did the bold predictions. We did the bets. We did everything on Friday. An absolutely unbelievable episode. If you didn't see that one, go watch that one. Then come back and watch this one. Doesn't really matter what order you watch them in, so whatever. I'm Braden Wasco. He's Carter First, host of Locked On Blue Jays. Joining us today, fill-in hosts, degenerate gamblers, college hockey players, TV broadcasters, Skylar, Peters, Dallon, Wilton. You can follow all of us on Twitter, Braden 5 Wasco, Carter First 2, Skylar A. Peters, Dallon, Wilton. All of those are Twitters at Braden or at Locked On Blue Jays on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It helps us out a ton. Keeps us top of your page. You guys get your shorts, your live streams, your videos, your podcasts, the whole ordeal. Carter will be live opening day. I will join him throughout the first a couple minutes. I just have to work, and then I'll be on the live stream with everybody else. The 999 challenge will not happen for me because, I could start, but I feel like I'd get in a little bit of trouble for
Just
that.
do it while you're working.
Yeah, anyway, Skylar Peters. Let's get right into today's episode. We got a lot to talk about. We want to talk win totals for the teams, AL winners, where's the placement. We're going to talk bounce back player of the year. I know the boys got a couple bold takes on that, which honestly could have been in the bold take segment, but here we are. We're going to tee up 2025. And this is, I don't know, boys. Have it around. Snap it around if you want to. If you disagree, let them know. It'll be fun. We got lots of time here. We got a whole Monday episode dedicated to the four of us scrapping and arguing over a couple fringe bubble guy players or Yariel fringe.
Bit of a nothing burger.
Bit of a nothing burger.
So just for context, Carter, we're going over the locks for our pitchers, and we discussed Yariel Rodriguez, and I guess maybe I'm foreshadowing that discussion, but Carter said, I have Yariel fringe. And I was like, I don't know who that is, because he meant that Yariel Rodriguez was a fringe player. And then Dallon was just probably looking up this guy's baseball reference.
Yeah, I couldn't find him.
He got us both. I was like, I have not been watching enough spring training, but let's have at it, boys. This is great.
All right. Yeah, we went over a lot last episode. We did cover a ton. We went from all the way from the hottest takes, the Red Sox winning the division, to all the way to who's going to be the best Mario Super Sluggers player this season. A lot to get into today. Let's start things off with, I guess, AL East predictions. Where do these teams line up? So I think let's go over definitive number one. I want everybody to let's go down the list. Everybody give their lineup. If we argue it, we argue it. Let's go. Dallon, Wilton, starting with you today. AL East, where do you got everybody?
For the winner of the AL East, I got the Baltimore Orioles. They've looked good. What is it, 3 years now? Because all their young guys are getting accustomed to the big leagues and they're superstars now. I'm going to have the Yankees probably second. I'm going to put the Blue Jays at third, Red Sox 4, Rays 5.
How many of those teams make the playoffs?
I think the Jays and the Yankees are going to make the playoffs. Wild cards.
Wow. All right. So 3 ALs teams making the playoffs. That's what we did our Locked On preview. That's what a lot of the hosts over there had as well. I have a similar list to Dallon here. I also have the Baltimore Orioles winning the AL East. I know there is a lot of starting pitching injuries. Obviously, losing Corbin Burns, Tony Taylor's coming to the Toronto Blue Jays, Grayson Rodriguez being hurt. I think they find a way to overcome that. I think their lineup helps them out a ton. I think the most well-rounded lineup in the AL East, so I have the Baltimore Orioles there. We talked a lot about the Boston Red Sox last episode. I think they do get in, not quite to the division winners, but I think they're in the AL East as well. Then I have the New York Yankees sneaking in the third wildcard spot. So unfortunately, that means I don't have the Toronto Blue Jays making the playoffs. I have them better than their win total, but I have them at 84 wins. Not going to get it done. And then the Tampa Bay Rays coming after them.
Skylar, we'll go to you. I want to finish things off.
Well, I'm going to go 3-0 with the O's. I have them winning the division. Obviously they lost, their top end starter in Corbin Burns, but I thought the addition of Morton was really good. This Sugano guy, I think, is projected to be their 5th starter, guy brought over from the Japanese league, and he should be pretty good. They're going to get Kyle Bradish back for the stretch run, which is going to be huge for that staff. And then everything that you guys said about the lineup is obviously true. After that, I'm going to go with the Yankees. I just don't think they're going to be as good as everyone expected. Cole injury, losing Soto, pretty obvious stuff there. I got the Red Sox as well. And I'm really waffling on this, but I think that the Tampa Bay Rays playing at Steinbrenner Field are going to have some magic in them. Their schedule is loaded with home games at the start and end of the year. If they can go on a run with their home games at the start of the year and then, put themselves in a position where they're playing in front of their home crowd, for the stretch run, I think they're just going to be able to, be a scrappy team and not be an easy team to beat. And then I got the Blue Jays finishing last in the AL East, and I'm just praying I'm wrong on that.
I think the Tampa Bay Rays are going to disappoint a lot of fans out there. That's what I think. And praying for. My list is completely different than all of your lists. I have the Boston Red Sox finishing number 1, and it was my hot take, but I think out of everything, I believe that. I think they are the most complete team in the AL East. Then I'm going to go the Orioles just for the simple fact that I think their young guys will step up to the plate. I think they're going to make a difference. I have the Toronto Blue Jays making the playoffs at number 3. I have the Yankees missing the playoffs. I know, insane take, but for the same reasons that you guys have all talked about the Yankees already, the injuries. And Carter, you said this in an episode a while ago, talking about Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge doesn't get injured. I just have a weird inkling as well that you do, that this might be the injury-plagued season for him. And I think that's going to be a big factor. And I think if you lose Aaron Judge, I don't know, this team is drastically worse. And then I got the Tampa Bay Rays finishing last. I do not hold any merit to those Tampa Bay Rays. I don't know what the win total's about, but it is I can't do it. So mine is very, very different. And I think it's called the AL Beast for a reason, because I think there are a lot of possibilities here. But at the end of the day, I don't think the Blue Jays are a bad enough team to not be in my top 3. I just can't. I have to believe that they are going to be at least the 3rd best team in the AL East.
I don't hate that. I just think the Rays are there's something going on there. Like, obviously those teams playing a minor league ballpark, and I think the A's are going to kind of do the same thing in Sacramento. Like, it's just going to be a year that we talk about for a little while. Not a team going on a World Series run, but a team that, defied expectations.
I mean, let's remember the last time the Toronto Blue Jays played at a minor league field and what happened during that year when the Toronto Blue Jays played at a minor league field. Somebody might have a big year when they're going to Tampa and they're playing at the Tampa Bay Rays at Steinberger, and it's going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. This guy's going to be hitting absolute nukes at that minor league field. I feel like the Tampa Bay Rays are always discounted, though, in this division. They're always like a sneaky team, especially giving the Toronto Blue Jays a hard time. They're getting their pitching back. They have Shane McClanahan there. They still have Drew Rasmussen. They have some guys, Taj Bradley's there as well. They have some guys that can be a little bit sneaky. Junior Caminero, I expect to have a massive year for the Tampa Bay Rays. So I think I still have them at last, but I don't think it's like they're going to be horrific. I think a lot of teams in this AL are going to be very good baseball teams. I don't see any like Chicago White Sox type tier team where you're only going to get 50 wins. I think every team easily wins over 70. I have the Tampa Bay Rays at 79 wins. That's my lowest division win total. But I think this division, compared to a lot of other years, it's pretty much up in the air for me. Like, if you had the Tampa Bay Rays winning, I'd probably look at you a little funny, but I wouldn't say it's like the craziest take of all time. I really think that this division is a lot more wide open than it has been in previous years.
Well, and you have to remember, the Tampa Bay Rays have Mr. Made of Glass behind the dish. So, you get 2 games of power from him where he might hit some jacks, and then he takes a toenail pick, which rips off his entire left foot. and he misses the rest of the season.
I think Danny Jansen just needed like a new pitching staff to stare at, because like the amount of balls he got like off the wrist and stuff is just unfair when he's catching and when he's batting. I mean, the amount of times he was hit obviously was just incredible. Over the course of his Blue Jays tenure too. So I'm hoping for a better run from him. It's gonna be weirder seeing him in a Rays jersey than it was seeing him in a Bo Sox jersey last year, even though that came mid-season. But hoping for the best for DJ.
Yeah, I love DJ, but he stubs his toe and his wrist hurts. So. But back to your predictions there, Braden. I do like that take on the Yankees. I mean, you could flip-flop in my order the Yankees and the Red Sox. I also feel that injury plague coming for the Yankees, and I can't stand them, so I'd love to see them miss the playoffs.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I don't want to see anybody get injured. I hate it. But then it's the Yankees, and I'm like, okay, that one's fine. If somebody goes down to the Red Sox, I'm like, that sucks. That guy could have had a great year. Danny Jansen gets injured for the 90th time, and I'm like, oh, man, that really sucks. I really wish I could have seen what he could have done. Garrett Cole, that absolute scumbag, goes down, and I'm like,
clap it up.
No, I hate to say that. I don't want to see anybody get injured. You want to beat the teams at their best, and you want to prove that you are the best team in the league. But the Yankees have been so good for so long that I feel like one of these years something's going to happen, and it's going to tear them down a peg in that fan base as well.
And there's that World Series hangover element. Like, I don't think the Dodgers, have to worry about that with the roster they continue to assemble. But everything that happened in that fifth inning with the Yankees in the final game, obviously, and I think their fans expect so much. And the one thing I will say on Cole is, it speaks to how dominant he is and how much of a thorn he is in the side of people like us that have to face him several times a year, that you breathe a sigh of relief when you hear you're not going to have to go up against that guy. So, and we know what he's done over the course of his career. He's not leaving anything out there, and he'll be back, and I'm sure he'll be dominant again, but it'll be okay not going up against that guy this year as Blue Jays fans.
I wonder if the Toronto Blue Jays ever get there. Braden said the Yankees have been so good for so long. Do you think we ever get even remotely close to anyone?
Is that you guys need to bring on like a 1990s Blue Jays fan? Just like, what was that like? Like the two-time defending champions of the world? Like, this is insane.
We had a brief stint there for a couple of years with Bringer of Rain and Saunderson and Smoke or Mike
10 years ago this year, Dallon.
Yeah,
10 years
Isn't
ago.
that sad?
Marcus Stroman was just shoving.
He wasn't a locker room cancer. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Good times.
I miss that. I really do.
There was some great players. Some people probably should be in jail now, but for that specific time, it was awesome. That's what I think that way.
You had like Michael Saunders being an all-star.
We had Drew Hutchinson opening day starter in 2013, I think. After back-to-back opening day starts by R.A. Dickey.
R.A. Dickey, bring me back. God, crazy. The knuckleball. I remember as a kid, like we'd go into Evan Erickson's backyard, for those of you who know Evan Erickson, and we just chuck knuckleballs to each other until one of our arms fell off. Like that's what that guy brought to us. So, oh man, I could go back and relive those days all the time.
This team needs an R.A. Dickey and a Munenori Kawasaki. We need the vibes back up in the locker room. I think that's a key element that this team is missing. Just having that fun again. Back to the Toronto Blue Jays. Saw how it was in 2021. That's the last time I genuinely had fun watching the Toronto Blue Jays. Maybe a little bit in 2022 as well. But
not that I want to rag on the offseason, because I thought it was good overall, but a big contributor into the locker room vibe in that 2021 season was available for a little while, and is best friends with your impending $700 million free agent, and he stuck with the LA Dodgers and Teoscar Hernandez. So.
Yeah, and you know what? Good for him at this point.
Yeah,
because
100%.
He won, and the Blue Jays shunned him, didn't give him the contract offer that he should have gotten after being traded the 1 year. They should have brought him back right after that fact, and they didn't. That's on them. He goes to the Dodgers, wins a World Series, and signs right back there. Good for him. Great season. Yeah. I was in New York when it was the Yankees playing the Dodgers, and Teoscar Hernandez hits the was it the Grand Slam? I think that game, or. Today's episode brought to you by Just Ingredients. This stuff is fantastic. I'm telling you guys, I got some of it. I got their protein. I got their pre-workout. It's all awesome when it comes to fueling your body Quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. This is the stuff I use when I go to the gym. I need to. It keeps my body going. If it's a long day, I pump that. I get that pre-workout going, and it's unbelievable, and it's clean. That's the biggest thing for me. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients is also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. I'm telling you guys, this is the stuff to use. Make sure you guys go check them out. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram. All right, here we go. Win totals. I guess this is a tough one because you can pin how many ever wins you want with whoever you want. Let's just roll through them quick. I don't think there's going to be any huge disputes because we're all in the same mindset that this division really could go any way this year. It's pretty open-ended. So regarding the standings that you put everybody in, Carter, do you want to kick things off with yours maybe this time?
Yeah, I'll jump into it. So I had the Baltimore Orioles obviously winning the division. I think 92 wins does get it done because I think a lot of teams are close this year. So I have the Baltimore Orioles 92 wins, then the Boston Red Sox coming in at 89. I think that would be good for either the first or second wildcard spot. Again, I think it is going to be very close going down the stretch in the AL. I have the Yankees at 88 wins. That would be the third wildcard spot. Then I have the Blue Jays just missing out 84 wins and the Tampa Bay Rays at 79 wins. All teams within 13 games. So again, I think it's a pretty tight division. I think the AL wild card is going to be very close again this year, where you do have some question marks in Houston, Seattle, what's going to be left to be desired from their batting order. And then you go down to the Central. I mean, it's like the Guardians probably against, and then who are we really fighting against there? The Twins can have a good year, but I think that is pretty open as well. So I think it's going to be down to the wire in the AL.
Skylar, going to you.
Yeah, I think 92 wins is like the lowest AL East winning total in the last 10 years. I was looking at this a bit earlier. I'd put the O's up about 95, 96 to win the division. I think that the Yankees are probably still going to win about 90, 91. I think the third playoff team is the Boston Red Sox. I think they're going to win about 88 games. I think the Rays are probably going to win in the range of 80 to 81. They're going to be battling for 500, and I think the Jays are going to be just a little bit behind that at about 78 or so. 78 would be great because it would cash my bet on the over 77.5. So let's go 78.
Dal, to you?
Yeah, I agree. I think the leader of this division is going to be up around, in my opinion, I think 99, around there, 99, 100. Honestly, I think the Jays are going to sneak in. I think it's going to be tight. I think they're going to have a 91 win season and get into the wild card. If we do recall, I think it was 3 years ago now. They were in that race with the Red Sox, and I think
2021.
92 or 93 is what got them in. So I think it's going to be around that 91 to 93 marker for the Jays to get in.
2021 season, I loaded up while you're talking, Dal. Tampa won 100 games. That's just bizarre. Boston won 92. Yankees won 92. All three teams made the playoffs. Toronto won 91 and did not.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be similar to that year, in my opinion. So I think the leader's going to have around 199. And then those two AL East teams are going to sneak in with 91, 92.
Yeah, and you know what? That's what I mean. We have these debates and these conversations about who's getting in, what are the win totals. It's all over the map because this division is so strange and it's so good. And having to play each other a ton too is a big question mark. Who is going to come out on top? For me, I had the Red Sox winning. I said 96 wins. Then I had the Orioles sitting in that number 2 with 93. Then I have the Jays with 89 and the Yankees with 88. And the Rays with probably looking at the 78 mark as well. They're 78, 79 wins. So again, I think it's going to be really tight. I think that wild card spot, that last wild card spot is going to be like what we saw in 2021. I could realistically see the Jays finishing their game, winning it, or it the other way around. It would be like the Yankees who play a game, win it. The Blue Jays now have to win their final game of the year to secure it, and they do win it this year. I think it's going to be legitimately that tight going right down to the stretch. And I think that's going to be a huge momentum boost for this Toronto Blue Jays team that is so desperately looking to get back to the playoffs and make their own mark. So I think that's going to be a huge storyline to watch.
We got
Carter's Carolina
ahead,
Panthers are going to be 0-3 by the time the final day of the regular season rolls around. So he is just going to be praying for some excitement in his sporting life. So I hope it happens.
Yeah, it's a Bryce Young comeback season, but I'm not going to get into that too much. I think it's going to be better than Sam Darnold than what he's going to do in Seattle.
We'll see.
But,
hey, I've been through the pain. He'll do fine, and then he'll just throw up an absolute like dud 4 weeks, and you're like, this guy might be deceased. We'll see.
Cooper Kupp is going to have to save him down there. But for those of you that did pick the Toronto Blue Jays to make the playoffs, I believe it was Braden and Dallon. How far do you have them going in the playoffs? Do you see them making a deep playoff run? Is it just the typical Toronto Blue Jays experience? You make the wild card, 2 games, see you later. What do you have them doing this season?
No, I think they're going to win the wild card. I think they will. I think they're going to get their first win with this group of players, and I think that's all they'll go. That's all they're going to win. But I think it's going to give them enough hope moving forward. And I think that is so big into signing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bichette and bringing them back, because you instill that little bit of hope in them. And I think that's what's going to happen. And then we're going to go into an off season of 2025, 2026, and it be the biggest storyline. We said this past off season was the most important off season in Toronto Blue Jays history. I'm thinking 2025, 2026, if this plays out sort of what I'm seeing, could be even bigger.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to win the wild card series, but it also all depends how John Schneider manages that team. We saw him 2 years ago, how he managed his pitching staff, which kind of screwed him over in the end. And a lot of people didn't agree. So I'd like to see him just roll with his guys, not do this, statistics stuff. If your guy's hot, you gotta keep him rolling, and you gotta let him just deal. So I think they'll get past the wild card. And going back to last episode, if they make some upgrades, I can see them in the World Series.
Wow. Skylar Peters with a little bit of an exhale laugh there. You had the Blue Jays dead last in the division. I sort of want to hear the you and Dal debate on this one, because Dal has them going so far and you have them being such a dumpster fire, apparently. I guess go a little bit back and forth in that. I want to hear just your thoughts in comparison to each other when it comes to how the Blue Jays finish the 2025 season.
I just think they don't have middle of the order power to bring in runs. Like Bo Bichette, I think he's going to have a good year. He's going to hit the ball very well, but I don't think he's going to drive in a lot of runs, because I don't have faith in 7 through 9 getting on base. And when that lineup turns over, he's going to have the ability to do that. I think that they really strengthened the bullpen. I have a fair bit of faith in this starting rotation, and really the only question mark is Max Scherzer's health to start this season. But I just don't see everything going right on the offensive side of the ball. And if it does, that is the Blue Jays ceiling. Like I could foresee what Dal is predicting, but after getting burned for 15 units on over 87.5 wins, and that was over by June 1st last year, my optimism has been turned off. I'm going to have to see it.
So Dal, when Skylar talks about the lack of depth on this team, I guess, do you have more faith in say it is the 6 or 7 to 9 guys? Do you think that they have enough pieces there to at least push them to the trade deadline to then make some upgrades there? Is that sort of where your head's at?
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at their starting rotation, I think it's very strong, especially how Bowden Francis ended last year. I think he's going to be going to help us a lot at the start if he can keep that momentum from the end of last year going into this year now. But I think there's some guys on this roster that are due for a good stretch of games, I guess, like a breakout. So, like, I'm looking at guys like Wagner, or maybe Davis Schneider. Ernie Clement could step up in a big way, and that's what happens on championship teams. Those depth guys play their roles, and they come and play good when it matters. So I think we're going to see a few like that. You commented last episode on Alejandro Kirk. I mean, if he could have a great year, that's another guy that's going to get on base and also driving some runs. So I'm feeling really confident in this team and the moves that they've made. I've stated earlier that I don't like the bullpen. I think they need to add some more, but that would be their only downfall in my eyes right now.
The one quick counterpoint I'll give to that, Dallon, is with those bottom of the order guys, or when you're bringing up young guys when they're hot, this management and John Schneider has shown a track record of, being really late to the game or being really stubborn. We saw that with Davis Schneider sitting on the bench right after his massive hot streak in August a couple of years ago, things like that. Like I think, there might be a guy lighting it up in AAA, or Elvis Martinez, probably the first guy that will come to mind for a lot of Blue Jays fans. And I think he'll just sit there for too long. And then, maybe that wears off. And I don't have a lot of faith in the management of the players, even though, the players themselves might show that.
I can agree with that 100%. I don't think John Schneider, in my opinion, is the guy that they need to get them to the next level, but who knows, maybe he changes his ways.
Yeah, and I think just to a point there, I guess, is we have seen John Schneider, I think, especially when he's been talking to the media, he seems like the guy that's been the most open and honest about the downfalls of this team and what needs to change. So in my head, as much as I agree that he has not made the right moves, he is still a young manager when it comes to the MLB. And, guys got to go through that. And just like some of these players had to go through the down spell of some bad seasons, some disappointment, I feel like John Schneider's right there as well. And I'm not saying he is going to be this great manager or anything like that he will make the right calls, but I feel like he's been through enough now to, you would hope, at least like Dal said, learn from his mistakes. Will that happen? I don't know. And I love the debate you guys had, because it's two very different opinions on the same group of guys, and the same thing hopefully, we're all cheering for them, but it is very interesting to see the two different mindsets. So great conversation, boys. I do want to get into because I know we will talk up lineup stuff like that in the third segment here, and just who are those fringe guys, who's going to be making the lineups. But we got to talk about the bounce back player of the year, because this is something that I know me and Carter have touched on a little bit, but I want to get your guys' opinions as well. I have two guys for me that are bounce back players. And I think I know there's one guy on everybody's mind. Dal, I'll let you kick things off, because I would almost guarantee that he's your bounce back player of the year.
Yeah, should I got two here. Should I say just one or both?
No, say them both.
Okay, yeah. So I'll start it off with Bichette, obviously. I think that's the one we were talking about. I think he's had a really good spring so far, and injuries troubled him last year, but if he could stay healthy, I like what Skylar's been saying about him. So it's going to be exciting to watch if he could stay healthy and get back to that, 312 average form. Second one, I'm going to go with Davis Schneider. I don't think at any point he's really going to be a starter anywhere, but I think he could be a big bat off the bench. We saw 2 years ago now how effective he can be. I think that's maybe his ceiling, but if he can consistently play like that, he's going to have a huge year, and he's going to be a big part of this team.
Yeah, and just going off of the Davis Schneider stuff, everybody knows I'm a big Davis Schneider fan. And when looking into his statistics and just some of his analytical stuff, which I don't love to do usually, but during spring training, it's hard to see every single at-bat and really be engaged and watching for little things. And because it's not MLB talent pitchers all the time. The one thing I'm noticing is he's able to get to the outside pitches a lot more. I don't know if it's the way he's setting up, what it is, and also the high fastball, something that we saw him struggle with time and time again. So he's obviously, for a young guy, doing the things you have to do in this league, and all that is making adjustments. You see some of these older guys that are stuck in their ways not be able to then come out and make the adjustments. Some young guys fail because they don't make the adjustments that the pitchers are making against them. So I think Davis Schneider is a guy. It's just, when is that all going to come to be? So I like that pick. I really do. I think you're 100% right on the money with him maybe not being a starter or maybe not being an everyday player, but being a huge option for this team off the bench in certain situations. Skylar, going to you.
Yeah, thanks, Dal, for taking Bo. Obviously, that's, on everybody's minds. That's the obvious one. I didn't write this down because I knew that was going to be, somebody's pick. I got Alejandro Kirk. Still had a 2.0 WAR last year. I don't think you would have looked at, some of his at-bats or looked at his season overall and thought that's what he did, especially when he was, kind of catcher 1B to Danny Jansen. Obviously, he's going to see a lot more time in the starting lineup, and I think that can only help him. When he had almost 500 plate appearances in 2021, that he had his best season as a pro. And I think he's going to be a lot closer to that level. I made some quick hopes / projections. 13 homers, 110 hits, and I think 60 RBI is about realistic, just based on where he's probably going to slot in this Blue Jays lineup. The other guy I will say, I think, the guy, if we talk about a bounce back season that can help the Blue Jays the most, and you probably take Bo out of the equation there, is George Springer. Obviously, it's, if anybody's talking about George, it's very negative right now. We've seen what his ceiling can be. And I think if you even cap your expectations and be realistic about what he can do at this age, I think he can add a ton of value to this Blue Jays lineup in the middle of the order, getting out of that leadoff spot with all that pressure, especially when you get on base and having, to worry about run the bases, something the Jays haven't done well in recent years. Kind of be realistic with his role. I think, if he has a better season, it goes a long way for this Blue Jays team.
See, when I looked at this team for bounce back candidates, the first thing I thought of was who's just not a bounce back candidate. I think if you could pretty much pick anyone on the Toronto Blue Jays to be a bounce back candidate the way that 2024 went. Yeah, glad Bichette went. Like Alejandro Kirk's going to be another guy people talk about. Daulton Varsho we've talked about recently on this podcast as a bounce back candidate. So I kind of let you guys have the floor because there were so many to choose from. I'm going to focus on the starting pitching. And one guy that I think not a lot of people are talking about is Chris Bassitt. We talked about him on a podcast earlier on this month. And he tried to overcomplicate a lot of things. He had 8 pitches being thrown. He kind of went away from the basics, was trying to be a little bit too unique. When you have 8 pitches, when you have 7-6 pitches, that's still a lot of pitches to get somebody out with. If you're a guy like Chris Bassitt, if he can focus more on honing in those 5-6 pitches, even 4 pitches, rather than, throwing that extra sweep or sink or whatever it is, I think that is something that can benefit Chris Bassitt. Get that efficiency back up, get closer to that 200 inning mark that he did get in his first year with the Toronto Blue Jays. So I think a lot of that can stem from a Chris Bassitt bounce back. I think you can get a few more wins there. And then a guy, Kevin Gausman as well, had an over 4 ERA last year. Just the splitter didn't really look like the traditional splitter that we're accustomed to seeing from Kevin Gausman. So those are 2 guys that I can see bouncing back this season and giving that Toronto Blue Jays starting rotation a little bit more stability at the top, especially with the Bowden Francis spring that he has had and the Max Scherzer injuries that he's undergone.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one. I don't 100% know if I agree. I love Chris Bassitt, and I want him to do great things. I just don't know at his age if it's in the cards anymore. I think he has to be good. I just don't think he has to be great. And I think we've seen Chris Bassitt, you're right, a little bit of a lower year. And I think even if he's slightly better, I think that's huge for this lineup because you do have your big dogs. You got Bowden Francis coming up. You have the option to see what Max Scherzer can do. Alek Manoah coming back. And to be honest with you guys, all of your options were guys I could have chosen. Daulton Varsho, I have to talk about because you need his bat. I said 2 most important guys for this season that have to do something are Daulton Varsho and Alejandro Kirk. If this Blue Jays team wants to be successful, those 2 guys at the plate have to be successful as well. So he's a guy I'm really looking at. He's my pick. I would have picked Alejandro Kirk. Skylar took him from me. That's fine. After all the bets I placed on him, whatever.
We're aligned, man. That's all you want.
That's right. Yeah. Just Skylar Peters agreeing with me, at the end of the day, what's that?
No, Skylar Peters agrees with you. Life is complete.
Life's complete. Yeah. Jesus.
So that's all you need, eh?
That's
Jeez. Raise the bar a little bit, fellas.
The other guy I have to say something about because I'm actually shocked nobody took him. An easy one is Alek Manoah. When Alek Manoah steps back up to that plate, it might be, I already talked about Daulton Varsho and Alejandro Kirk as the 2 most important pieces. I think for a stretch run, Alek Manoah is going to be above and beyond the most important piece to this Toronto Blue Jays team, having success not just in late season, but if they do go on a playoff run as well. I think we are seeing the return of Alek Manoah to peak Alek Manoah form this season. So hot take, bold take, whatever you want to call it. He is my above and beyond bold take or bounce back player of the year.
So you're looking for like a Alek Manoah, Walker Buehler type stance at the end of the season where he comes in and then supports that World Series team that Dall's, fired up about and can pitch some effective innings.
That's right.
We've seen what Manoah can do when he's on his game and just seeing on social media and stuff, he looks pretty positive, looks excited. He looks like he's enjoying the game. So, if he could come back and do what he did a couple seasons prior, that would be huge. I also want to go back to Carter's comment on Chris Bassitt quickly. He's an absolute perfectionist. like he's so hard on himself if he's like he knows what he's capable of, and he's so hard on himself if he's not performing at that level. So I could easily see him having a great year this year and returning to Chris Bassitt form.
I got a quick thought on Bassitt too. Like I think ideally what you'd want to see is like 2016 Mark Burley from Chris Bassitt. Older guy, not at the top end of your rotation, eats innings, goes out there every 5 days and gives your team a chance to win. He doesn't have to, be rocketing up the Cy Young ballot or anything like that. I just have a hard time maybe seeing that because, knowing the personality that we saw from Burley and how easygoing he was over the years, and Bassitt's like the exact opposite of that. And now you got another menace in that rotation and Max Scherzer. I feel like those guys are going to be wired all year, which is good for the top end guys, but might be harder for guys to accept new roles, as their careers progress.
Yeah, that is definitely a lookout. Dal, you talked about the guys being too hard on themselves, really being perfectionists. I can at least say the being hard on yourself really reminds me of when we played high school ball together. And, I would get finally a day off of pitching because my arm is falling off. And they'd be like, let's throw Dallon Wilton on the mound. And Dallon feels like the world is ending every time he steps up to the mound. The guy is just the most hard on himself I've ever seen. He strikes out, and it's the world's ending. It was the most funny thing. Our coach always told us, Dallon, you're way too hard on yourself. Just take it easy. You're gonna be fine. And yeah. And then I think the year that I was coaching you guys, I walked out to the mound, and I'm like, Dal, just chill it out, man. You're fine. And then he goes and he gets 3 straight strikeouts to end the inning. And it's just, you just got to get the guy out of his head a couple times. So it's just hilarious.
I had some good outings.
You did.
And then I had some really bad outings. So I'm not a pitcher. I was a catcher. So if I had to go eat some innings, I would. It was fun. But I could throw hard, not accurate. And I couldn't throw a curveball till grade 12, so that didn't help either.
We had Wild Thing out of the pen, just throwing straight heat.
Yeah, Ricky Vaughn.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Today's episode also brought to you guys by FanDuel. March Madness is here. FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. I have been killing it in March Madness betting. Get in on the action. Get those $200 in bonus bets. It helps. That's what my brother's using right now. I got brackets made. I got bets placed on all the guys I picked. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, even who's cutting down the nets. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. I don't know, boys. I don't know. You know what? This has given me so much to think about. Skylar made some great points earlier, actually last episode into this episode, that have just, sort of triggered some stuff. Dallon's made me think about, what this team could be and what is the fandom really contemplating with this squad. Will they finish in the bottom? Will they finish in the top? Will they be in the mushy middle? We've gone over so much, and I know we could sit here for another 4 hours, but it's getting late. I know you guys got to work tomorrow. Dal, you got stuff going on. I think Carter works tomorrow as well. I'm back at the studio. The boys are all buzzing, and we're going to have plenty of time to dig into this. We're going to have to make this a, semi-weekly thing where we just get on and, anything under the sun. Let's just have a little bit of a roundtable, because this was an absolute blast. You boys are the best in the game. This is why we bring you guys on when one of us are missing or we want some other insight. Because these two guys, it's all different perspectives. Me and Carter can sit here and we can yap about the same things every single week, but it's interesting, right? We had John Jay on, again, a guy from Toronto, knows the game, knows the team, knows the history of everything. Getting his opinion is great. Having players on is great, but sometimes, boys, it's just, you get with your buddies and you're it's like you're chatting on the couch during a game. It's fantastic. Boys, I can't wait till you guys are back out here. We'll do a live episode when you guys are out at some point, probably. Peters, can't wait. I know you're coming back in the next few weeks. Dal, we'll see you when we see you. I know it's busy times for you right now. It has been an absolute blast. Carter, anything before we kick out of here for the day? This has already been an insanely long episode, and we still have ads to put in here.
No, I'm just gonna extend out the invite. I'm gonna be live opening day. Braden doesn't like me enough to, join me at the start of the game. I don't know if you guys are available, but I'm extending that invite to you guys as well. I will be live, so if you guys want to, stop by, give me a little bit of company along with the people, that would be appreciated. But other than that, yeah, just thank you guys for coming back, helping us out. Just the new perspectives, like Braden said, getting on this podcast so they get sick of listening to this guy, spew BS all the time. So it's nice to get, new refreshing perspectives on this team. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming on.
Hey, my pleasure, boys. I know Dal and I are an hour earlier than you guys, so you guys are the true grinders. We just turn this off and go home, and Dallon crushes a half-formed pizza. So, we got it pretty easy, but always appreciate jumping on, boys. And like I said before, like this is actually what got me fired up for baseball season. It feels real now. We're less than a week away, so let's get it going.
Yeah, I thanks for having me on. It's always a blast. I love talking shop with you guys. So, it's always great to chum it up, and I look forward to maybe coming on a few more times here.
Yeah, we'll get everybody back as always because you guys do. You guys deliver great insight. You know the team. You know the ins and outs, and that's what we look for. And it's just easy. These episodes are easy when you guys pop on, right? It's just talking with the boys. It's great. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed this episode and these episodes that we do. We want to do these, fairly somewhat regularly when we can get the schedules all to work out again. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go follow the boys wherever you want because they put out some great stuff on theirs. So make sure you go follow their Twitters. They're right on the screen if you guys want to go back. If you're not, they'll be in the description of the video as well, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thanks again. Talk to you guys later.